This week, the world didn't just turn, it cracked. A political firebrand gunned down on a college campus. Gaza burns. Russia threatens. America fractures. And somewhere in the chaos, people are losing their jobs for celebrating a man's death, celebrating murder. This isn't just news. And tonight, we're not just reporting, we're dissecting the soul of a shaken world. Charlie Kirk assassination. Charlie Kirk, conservative firebrand, founder of Turning Point USA, shot dead on stage at Utah Valley University. The shooter, Tyler Robinson, 22-year-old former student, even debated him on stage. Motive still unclear, but the impact that he has brought is immediate and can be seen all over the world. It's just breathtaking. But some cheered for the death and murder. How can you be happy? Let me read you a few posts that got people. America became greater today. Finally, one less racist. I'll drink to that. Teachers, nurses, tech workers, all fired, and they deserve to be suspended, silenced, because that is just unhumane. But Charlie Kirk wasn't a warmonger. He said, and I quote, "Debating without violence is how we overcome our differences. Not just a soundbite, that's a philosophy." Now, his death is being politicized. President Trump called him legendary. Senator J.D. Vance, Vice President, hosted his first podcast. The White House, days after the shooting, statutes are planned in Texas and Florida. But the conspiracy machine, it's spinning out of control. AI-generated books predicting Kirk's death appeared online. Before it even happened, let's just hear how the world reacted. Whether you loved him or loathed him, Kirk's death has forced a reckoning. And the question remains, can America mourn without tearing itself apart? While America mourned, the world burned. Israel bombed Hamas leaders in Qatar. Gaza City flattened. UN officials say all hope is gone. NATO shot down Russian drones over Poland. A direct challenge to Moscow. North Korea's Kim Jong-un met with President Xi and Putin. A military parade. A message: we're watching. Iran faces renewed UN sanctions. Tehran, furious, defiant. A Polish F-16 crashed during an airshow rehearsal. The pilot dead. The crowd silent. Wildfires rage across Turkey, Greece, and Cyprus. Climate change isn't coming. It's here. And in the shadows, cyber attacks spike. Anonymous leaks 3 terabytes of Russian military data. The world is on edge. There's no doubt about it. And as one person said, in chaos, there's always opportunity. Well, let's talk culture. Let's talk chaos. AI slop books are flooding Amazon. One falsely predicted Kirk's death. Is this the future of misinformation? Income inequality dropped in the United States, but experts say it's a statistical illusion. China's Fashion Week, neon, futurism, rebellion. Gen Z is watching. Sumo wrestling, challenged by women in Japan, a centuries-old transition cracking open. What do you know? Instax cameras are back. Retro tech is dominating Gen Z aesthetics. Puerto Rico's economy is booming, thanks to Bad Bunny. Yes, seriously. And TikTok, it's not just dancing anymore, it's activism. propaganda. It's war. Just let that sink into your mind. Even Brazil's former president, Jair Bolsonaro, convicted of plotting a coup, 27 years behind bars. 27 years behind bars. South Sudan's vice president, charged with treason and murder. Africa's political landscape shifting. Russia pardoned prisoners at Trump's request. Belarus joined in. What's the play here? England still doesn't know where it's playing in the World Club. Bureaucracy or sabotage? In the United States, what has happened here? The Kirk assassination has reignited debate on political violence. Is speech still safe? Is speech still safe? Our First Amendment. Charlie Kirk's death isn't just a tragedy, it's a mirror. Political violence is rising. From January 6th to campus shootings, the line between rhetoric and reality is vanishing. J.D. Vance hosted his podcast from the White House. Jimmy Kimmel called out Vance. Can we just agree it's monstrous to shoot another human? Kirk's widow Erica gave a heartbreaking tribute. Two young children, a shattered family, and yet Kirk's message was clear. Faith is the most important thing to him, and he wants to be remembered for his courage and his faith, most importantly. He is about faith, debate, unity. Can we honor just that message? Why there's so much hate around? Even if we disagreed with the man, can we just honor him for his faith, his courage? It wasn't just about fault lines. Charles Gerf exposed so much of our culture, but also courage to speak, to mourn, to reflect. Whether you agreed with him, whether you agreed with his politics or not, his call for civil discourse is one we must answer.
This is the RusNkaZ Show. Bam Bam calling shots like a maestro. This is the RusNkaZ Show. Where the wild and the crazy grow. Turn it up, feel the rhythm flow. Hustle rock, bam bam. Let's go, let's go.
Charlie Kirk, a name that sparked fire in every room he entered. To some, a patriot, to others, a provocator. But last week, he became something else, a symbol of division, of violence, of reckoning. He was shot live in front of his kids, his wife, on stage, while debating, giving a speech, just talking to students at Utah Valley University during just a question and answer session of what people think and what people wanted to debate the mass shootings in front of thousands. Who was the shooter? None other but Tyler Robinson, and 22-year-old who was living with a transgender individual, which I believe that we have not addressed that problem yet, and it's being addressed by our health department and other clinics and individuals and doctors, that there is something wrong when a male is trying to become a female, or thinking that his body needs to be changed, or that his or the parents of those kids who are not sure, they're grown up, they're just turning of puberty age. They have no idea what that feels like, what it's supposed to feel like, the rejections they get. And what do their parents encourage? Oh, you want it to be a girl or a guy? Oh, look about, we put you on hormone therapy. We'll cut off your private parts because we are going to support you. The kid doesn't even know what they want. As soon as they turn adults, they're going to say, Mom, Dad, why did you let me do this? I was in so much confusion. I couldn't understand what was going on. So I am extremely against that. And I have my faith in God, our Lord Jesus Christ. And I believe that they actually need compassion. And I feel really bad for those kids, especially who goes through this. But just know that you're not alone, that there is help, that you just need to find the right mentor, the right church, or someone with faith, and don't jump to conclusions is what I say. Do your research and at least turn 18 years old. And after 18, if you really think that you want to live as a woman, even though you're a biological man, that is up to you. But do not push this agenda to the kids, especially to the young ones, and indoctrinate them with this. Because you cannot have your own kids and you want to indoctrinate all of theirs and ours and mine. And that is not right. So, what I'm going to say is if you are in that small population who's a little bit confused about their gender, I ask you to just hold on to that until you're 18 years of age, and then you can decide. There is a reason why we have laws on banning things to do like smoking and drinking alcohol, because it does mess with your development. And when you're in those early teenage years, there is just so many hormones flooding your body that you might be just confused and emotionally not at the level that you can rationally say that this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. So I beg you to just do the research and wait until you're at least 18 to make any decisions that will alter for the rest of your life. For the rest of your life, you're going to be walking with this when you do decide or you think that you want during the teenage years. First, research and volunteer at places where you can actually be exposed to that lifestyle and to see what it really is, but only until you're of age, 18 years old. Please wait until you're 18 in order to make those decisions. And after 18, if that's what you want to do, more power to you. May God bless you. But please wait till you're 18 so you can fully understand, or at least to some extent, understand what you are actually saying and what you're getting into. I just beg you, because I don't want no more division. I want us to unite. And after 18, if that's what you want to do, God bless you, and I'm with you. But let's get back to the shooter, Tyler Robinson. He was 22 years old, former student of that specific university. Now he's facing capital murder charges. Let that sink in. A political commentator assassinated in broad daylight on a college campus, and what followed wasn't unity, it was chaos. Some mourned, some celebrated, and some got fired, and now they're complaining about being fired. How is that even conceivable? You're celebrating a death of another human being who had kids, a family, and you're complaining that your celebration is not worthy of you getting fired? There should be even more consequences when you celebrate death of another human being. That is just inhumane. How did we get here? That's my question. How did we even get here? And some people said America became greater today, or one less fascist, or I'll drink to that. But no, it doesn't matter who you are. If you work for my company, or you work for any other company, and you work for any other company, CEOs and hiring managers that have standards and just have decent humanity, decent humanity, just normal common sense and just normal human being, empathy, sympathy, understanding that another human being's death is not a call for celebration. And I hope that every other CEO, including me, will never, ever hire any of the people who celebrated Charlie Kirk's death, or for that matter, if they are rejoiced by the notion that someone dies, ever. And especially TMZ, you guys really screwed up because you have cameras and you know it, that you guys got cameras everywhere. And you don't want to show who were the people celebrating when Charlie got shot. Yeah, you guys were watching the car chase, but you even sent somebody to tell those people to calm down and to stop yelling and celebrating and clapping. They weren't laughing. They were enjoyously clapping and celebrating that. A fact that a family man who was never a warmonger, who was never a person that would go against you, all he wanted was debate, to talk. As Charlie always said, that debating without violence is how we overcome our differences. That is just not just a quote, that's a philosophy, and it's buried with him. President Donald J. Trump, he called him a legendary. J.D. Vance hosted Kirk's podcast from the White House because Charlie Kirk, he had a daily show called Charlie Kirk's Show where he talked about Jesus Christ, talked about God, talked about faith, and talked about events going on in politics, especially because he was a proud Christian as well as a Republican, and he loved Donald J. Trump and for what he stood for, family values, just common sense things. But just days after the shooting, statues are being planned in Texas and Florida. Arizona may rename a highway in his honor. Flags flew at half-staff. Vigils lit up the night, but not everyone was on board, which just saddens me to say this. And here is some reactions I'm exposing to Kirk's assassination, which I cannot believe even happened. Steve Dees breaks down the ideological fallout and why reactions to Kirk's death reveal deeper fractures in American discourse. Some called him a martyr, others called him a racist, and some refused to honor him at all. NFL teams debated moments of silence. Churches split over whether to mourn or rebuke, and one pastor said, "How you die does not redeem how you live." How's that even possible? How can he even say that?
I know I'm gonna get in trouble for this, but how you died does not redeem how you lived. Who was a proud racist and spent his entire life sowing seeds of division and hatred into this land.
And I always go back to hateful thoughts lead to hateful words, which then lead to hateful actions. And I think that's the environment we're in, that people just, you can't stop with these sort of awful thoughts you have and then saying these awful words and not expect awful actions to take place.
Matt.
And that's
So, we came in for an order earlier to print a poster for a vigil tonight.
Yes.
For somebody that passed. It's not
It's propaganda. I'm sorry. We don't put that here.
Alrighty. So, what's your name?
I'm Beryl. I'm print supervisor.
I'm one of the managers.
Yes.
So, unfortunately, we
So
do not
they
print-
say they don't print
we don't
political
print-
propaganda. So this is somebody that passed away a couple years
That's
ago. from a
political
bullet.
propaganda, unfortunately. I'm
So
sorry.
this is for a prayer tonight, for a prayer vigil?
It's still propaganda, unfortunately.
I printed-
What makes it propaganda?
Because he's a political figure, and I don't have to. Yeah.
Our general manager is going to be.
Here we have the assistant dean of Middle Tennessee State University who posted, "Looks like Charlie spoke his fate into existence." Well, I guess what? She's been given the sack. She tweeted her fate into existence. But hey, let's keep going, shall we? This fellow, Glenn Turf from Miami Country Day School, posted, "He died. Oh well. Ironically, the promoted gun usage, and guess what? He's gone too."
This video captures the emotional and political responses from celebrities across the spectrum. Some solemn, some fearing. Let's talk legacy.
Charlie inspired millions, and tonight, all who knew him and loved him are united in shock and horror.
Welcome to go out to his family and all of his loved ones.
Jimmy Kimmel.
Jimmy Kimmel also spoke out on social media.
Late-night talk show host Jimmy Kimmel reacted online by calling Charlie Kirk's death senseless and asked Americans to resist turning the tragedy into partisan fuel. Jimmy wrote, "Instead of the angry finger-pointing, can we just for one day agree that it is horrible and monstrous to shoot another human?" Known for his satirical take on politics and biting Republican takedowns, Kimmel shifted gears to deliver a serious and emotional plea.
On behalf of my family, we send love to the Kirks and to all the children, parents, and innocents who fall victim to senseless gun violence.
So many great people and lifelong friends. And one of those people that brought me into their world was Charlie Kirk. This is tough. Pray for Charlie. Pray for his parents, his children, his entire family.
Turning Point USA is planning a memorial campus. New College of Florida is commissioning a statue. Texas lawmakers want Kirk remembered as a civil rights icon. But critics say this is whistle washing. This is political theater. This is rewriting history. How is that so? He touched so many young lives. He was probably in the top 5 reasons why Donald J. Trump got elected in 2024, and he touched so many young lives. Did you know that there were about 3,000 Turning Point USA chapters in the United States? And after his death, there were 38,000 Turning Point USA applications submitted so they could become a part of Turning Point USA. And that is just mind-boggling that this had to happen for people to actually wake up and to understand that the party of left, and it burdens me to say this because I was always a Democrat all my life until recently when I saw that the left is just a party of violence and the right of common sense, family values, Christianity. See, what I believe the reason why the party and the left that they're so lost and they can't seem to fill that void, that anger that they have, is because they cannot fulfill the hole in them. It's because the only way to do it is with Christ. By giving your life to Jesus, by believing in something greater, in faith. Whether it's Christian faith or other religious faith, but when you actually fulfill that void with belief and the power of actually having to believe someone that is so much greater than you, so much better than you, who's perfect, and you give your life to them, and you know that in the future, after your death, you will reunite with the family, the friends, the apostles, Jesus Christ, God. It's just the people on left that they're saying, "Oh, I don't believe in any of that. Those are just fairy tales or stories, or this or that." But what they're saying is that they have a void to fill, and they do not know how to do it. So they go to this gender dysphoria or gender identity dysphoria, whatever it's called, or trying to indoctrinate with some ideologies that just do not work in our Western land. This land, America, is the land of the sales. Tell me what you want, talk to me, whatever. But America is the land of opportunity, and it is because so, land of opportunity and dreams that do come true, is because we are a nation of salespeople. We sell. We have to sell in order to get to where we want to go. Without sales, there is nothing. When you make a sale, let's say, for example, you are selling a car, like a Tesla, Elon Musk. Now, because of that sale that you have made to somebody, whether it's a Tesla car or you sold somebody a furniture couch, now think about it. In order to have that couch in that store, there had to be a transportation driver who brought that couch there. That's a job. Now, before he picked it up, there had to be warehouse people who loaded him up, which had to get jobs. Those people in the warehouse had to order and talk to the manufacturer so that the manufacturer would send it to them. The manufacturer had to have jobs. Now, at the manufacturer's level, there had to be people who actually put the thing together. Jobs from those couches. They don't just come, you press a button and they show up at the manufacturers. No, they had to get people who actually bring the wood. Jobs. Somebody had to go to the forest and cut that wood down. Jobs. It goes all the way to the salesperson. When that salesperson makes the sale, that is when the company makes the revenue and pays everybody down the line. So America is a land of sales. And if you don't like to live here, because this is the greatest nation in the world, go and live in your communist ideology place or whatever you think that is better. If you bash the American flag, get out. You do not belong in America. I'm a patriot and I believe in the United States of America. I love this country. It is the best country in the world. And most people who say that this country is not the best are usually those people who never been anywhere else. And that's why they have the privilege to say that this is a bad country, when this is the greatest nation in the world, and nothing can even compare. In its history, this is just the best of the best. This is almost like heaven on earth. So let me just get back to my main point. I went off a little on a tangent. I apologize, but it just burns in me when I see people complain about this country or they hate this country, when this country gave them the freedom to say that. If they were in another country, I'm from Lithuania, I'm from former USSR, and if you would have said that somewhere in any communist country or even Russia, I don't think anybody would hear from you again, ever again. You'd probably be somewhere in the ditch dead, or in the ocean somewhere, or in Siberia, just like Alexei Navalny, who Putin imprisoned, and he died in Siberia, even though he tried to poison him, but in Germany they revived him, but he still went back to Russia after he was poisoned to face consequences, and of course they put him to prison for 20 years, and they starved him to death, and he died in Siberia. I believe that he would be the next president of Russia, who would actually do a lot of good to Russians, but just like Putin has taken care of everyone else, he took care of his number one opposition, Alexei Navalny, which I admired and modeled him, just loved him. May he rest in peace, like Charlie Kirk. So, some of the celebrities react to Charlie Kirk's death. Dream O'Neill highlights the tension between public mourning and personal politics, featuring reactions from Colbert, O'Donnell, and others. And then there's the conspiracy machine. AI-generated books predicting Kirk's death. They published before the shooting, Amazon pulled them, but the damage already done. Hold on, let's rewind. What happened that day? So, what did I just say? An AI-generated book which predicted the Kirk's death appeared online one day before he actually died. What's up with that? One day before, an AI-generated book was actually published by AI-generated material. One day before his death, it was published, but then Amazon took it off its shelves. Like, what's up with that? Seriously. It's unbelievable. This breakdown gives a full profile of the shooter, the timeline of the event, and the national response. 12:23 p.m. Kirk is shot. Crowd scatters. Security rushes in. Robinson flees across the roof. Caught on camera, wearing tactical gear, carrying a long rifle. Utah governor says he's not cooperating, but his friends are, and they say he hated Kirk. he planned this. Sky News host Morrow, James Morrow, calls out the hypocrisy in how political violence is so condemned or celebrated depending on the victim. So what now? Kirk's widow Erica will speak at the memorial this Sunday. President Trump and VP J.D. Vance will join her. Tens of thousands expected, and nation watching. This video explores the spiritual and political impact of Kirk's death and why it's become a defining moment in American culture. But here's the question we must ask. Can we condemn violence without glorifying the victim? Can we honor civil discourse even when it comes from someone we disagree with? Charlie Kirk is gone, but the debate he sparked is just the beginning. And we're only halfway through. This is BamBam. Whether you love him or loathe him, Kirk's death has actually forced a reckoning. And the question remains, can America mourn without tearing itself apart? While America mourned Charlie Kirk, the world kept burning. Israel launched airstrikes on Hamas leaders in Qatar, not Gaza, but Qatar, not Lebanon, but Qatar. A new front, a new message, no one is safe. Gaza City, flattened. UN officials say all hope is gone. Where water is gone, electricity is gone, and for many, so is faith. NATO shot down Russian drones over Poland, a direct challenge to Moscow, and Moscow responded with silence, which is louder than words. As we know, North Korea's Kim Jong-un met with Xi and Putin, and military parade, missiles, marching, mock-ups of American tanks crushed under boots. Iran faces renewed UN sanctions. Tehran, furious, defiant, and building. A Polish F-16 crashed during an airshow rehearsal. Pilot dead. The crowd silent. The footage too raw to show. Wildfires rage across Turkey, Greece, Cyprus. Climate change isn't coming, it's already here, and it's angry. Cyber attacks spike. Anonymous leaks 3 terabytes of Russian military data. The world is on edge, and the edge is sharp. But amid the chaos, we paused, we remembered. September 11th, 2025. 24 years since the towers fell, and still the pain echoes. Everybody knows where they were when they think of 9/11/2001. I bet you remember as well where you were. I remember I was actually at a high school coming into my second period class, and the teacher says, everybody sit down, and we watch the news from beginning to the end, through every single period, throughout the entire day. And I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I couldn't even imagine. I was just in high school, 17 years old or so, and I just couldn't believe it that this is for real. The ground zero, their names were read. One by one, nearly 3,000 voices spoken by loved ones. A bell tolled, a flag waved, and the nation stood still. Emma Williamson, 20 years old, stood at the memorial. She wasn't born when it happened, but she said, it's kind of the last time we all stuck together, and that matters. Michelle Piso wore a shirt with her late husband's face. She said, younger kids don't realize you have to remember. President Donald Trump attended the Pentagon ceremony. Vice President J.D. Vance was scheduled to appear at Ground Zero, but flew to Salt Lake City to be with Charlie Kirk's family. Kirk's casket was flown to Arizona aboard Air Force Two, a symbolic gesture, a political statement, a moment of convergence. At the Pentagon, the names of the fallen were etched in stone and in memory. In Shanksville, Pennsylvania, The field where Flight 93 crashed is now a place of pilgrimage, a place of silence, and a place of sacrifice. And in cities across America, from Columbus to Seattle, people gathered not just to mourn, but to serve. James Lynch lost his father in the towers. He said, "Grief doesn't go away, but finding joy in that grief, that's how we grow." So here we are, 24 years later, still remembering, still hurting, still hoping. 9/11 was the last time America truly stood together, and now, in the wake of Charlie Kirk's assassination, we're asking again, can we? Can we really stand together and come and unite against this cancerous political violence that should not be tolerated by any side? Can we mourn without division? Can we remember without rewriting? This is RusNkaZ Show, and I'm BamBam, and the world is watching. Now let's talk culture. Let's talk chaos. Let's talk the digital slope that's flooding our feeds, and the brilliance that's breaking through. AI slop books. Amazon is drowning in them, and one of them claimed to predict Charlie Kirk's assassination before it happened. A book titled "The Shooting of Charlie Kirk" went live on Amazon on September 9th. Kirk was killed on September 10th. Coincidence? Glitch? Or something darker? What do you guys think? Put your comments below, let me know. Experts say it's AI generated nonsense, but conspiracy theories say psyop. Now let's shift from digital sloth to digital activism. TikTok is no longer just dance challenges and mascara reviews. It's become a battlefield. TikTok trends like "propaganda I'm not falling for" are turning everything into a meme, from oat milk to climate change, from pronouns to Palestine. Activism or propaganda? On TikTok, everything's political, and truth, it's trending. Now let's talk fashion. China Fashion Week 2025 was a cosmic fever dream. Fringe frenzy, space shade, glam fur, 3D down jackets, and mysterious earth tones. Street styles meet rebellion. Hong Kong's youth are rewriting fashion norms. Sumo wrestling is being challenged by none other but 5 women. In Japan, over 600 female rikishi are training, competing, and breaking centuries-old taboos. They're reclaiming space in one of Japan's most sacred traditions, and they're doing it with power, grace, and grit. And finally, Bad Bunny. His residency in Puerto Rico didn't just break records, it rebuilt an economy. Over 700 million in revenue, hundreds of thousands of tourists, and a cultural revival that turned concerts into activism. So what do we take from all this? Culture is power, tech is chaos, and the truth is up for grabs. This is RusNkaZ, and I'm your host, BamBam. Subscribe and like. And baby, we're getting warmed up. Let's shift gears a little bit. From culture to confrontation. Brazil's president, Jair Bolsonaro, convicted of plotting a coup 27 years behind bars. The courtroom erupted. Supporters wept, opponents cheered, and the world watched. South Sudan's vice president, charged with treason and murder, a power struggle that's tearing the region apart. Russia pardoned prisoners at Trump's request. Belarus joined in, and suddenly the chessboard shifted. England still doesn't know where it's playing in the World Cup. Bureaucracy, sabotage, or something more. And here in the US, the Kirk assassination has reignited a debate we thought we buried. Is speech still safe? Is disagreement still allowed? Or are we entering an era where words get you actually killed? J.D. Vance hosted Kirk's podcast from the White House. He called it a tribute to civil discourse. Jimmy Kimmel responded, "Can we just agree? It's monstrous to shoot another human being. The divide is growing, and the middle is vanishing." And my very strong desire and hope that we will actually come together and not divide further. Project 2025 is reshaping the conservative blueprint. It's not just policy, it's ideology, it's infrastructure, and it's online. TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, all flooded with breakdowns, warnings, and spin. And in the shadows, political violence simmers. From January 6th to campus shootings, the line between rhetoric and reality is vanishing. Charlie Kirk's death isn't just a tragedy, it's a mirror. President Trump called him legendary, J.D. Vance called him a martyr for speech, and Charlie Kirk, a very powerful speech. She called him a father and a fighter and a man of faith. 2 young children, a shattered family, a nation divided. And yet, Kirk's message was clear. Faith, debate, unity. Period. Can we just honor that message? Can we just put our differences aside, even if we disagreed with him? Can we just come together and unite as one nation under God? This is RusNkaZ, and I'm your host, BamBam, and the reckoning is just beginning. This week wasn't just about headlines, it was about fault lines, cracks in our culture, cracks in our conscience. Charlie Kirk's death exposed the fragility of speech, the volatility of politics, and the power of belief. We saw Gaza burn. We saw TikTok turn into a war zone. We saw AI books rewrite reality. And we saw a nation mourn. Not just a man, but a moment. A moment where we ask, what do we stand for? What do we tolerate? What do we protect? 24 years after 9/11, we still remember, we still ache, we still hope. And now in 2025, we face a new kind of terror. Not from planes, not from polarization, not from propaganda, but from silence. But here's the truth. We're not powerless, we're not voiceless, we're not done. When you're on the left, the right, or somewhere in between, you have a role, you have a voice, and you have a choice. To speak, to listen, and to build. Charlie Kirk believed in debate. He believed in faith. He believed in America. And whether you agreed with him or not, that belief actually matters. So tonight, we remember, we reflect, and we recommit to truth, to unity, to the fight, a future worth arguing for, debating for. This is the RusNkaZ Show, and I'm your host, BamBam. Subscribe and like and put your comments below, so I do want to hear from you. And we have to ask more questions, because asking questions, they're worth our time. So stay sharp, stay curious, stay loud, and peace. Good night. Good night.